Morning everyone, it's New Year's Day 2015 and hopefully this will be a big year for Northern General number 604 because it should be going to Beamish Museum. Fully restored. We've just got funding from the Arts Council Prism Fund to complete the restoration, and this is in conjunction with the 1950s town that Beamish Museum are planning and will start building. The vehicle is more or less complete externally. You can see a lot of work has gone on the rear end here with filling of the rear dome and panelling. We'd hoped to have the paint primed, but the autumn was rather damp in this building, and we can't risk painting in a damp area, but it will be done as soon as the weather warms up in the spring. So the vehicle is really pretty well complete for painting. The roof, as you can see, the roof has been cleaned down and is now protected from further dust and debris. Well, we're looking now at the front of Northern General 604 with the passenger entrance on the near side and the driver's, unusually, a separate driver's door. Most vehicles the driver accesses directly from the steps, but in the early vehicles he had a separate door, which is often, I'll show you that in a moment. This is finished in just first coat. It's not finally fitted, but I'd like to show you since the grille is removed, you can see the very large radiator which sits quite low. This makes for great difficulty when we're actually towing, because you've got to get a cranked bar under this from the towing vehicle to the front axle, which is set well back. So it's not an easy vehicle to move once this radiator is in position. And of course that's quite an expensive item. About £1,500 it cost to renew. We took a decision to remove the driver's door quite late. I'd rather hoped to keep it as it was with the original panelling, which we've now removed, but it has been damaged, and there's always a difficult decision about how far you renew and how far you keep historical features. But we have, because of the damage, we have decided to remove it, and it has been re-skinned, as you can see. New mouldings, which the screw heads will be filled in before we repaint, and we've kept the original so that the painter and signwriter can recreate the fleet number and of course the lining out as well, so you can see the colour, and we've kept most of the panels off it, even though we've replaced them so that it can be replicated. This shows the entrance area. Unusually, compared with modern buses, the early ones had an open entrance where the doors usually are nowadays, but the door was actually a sliding door across the front of the saloon. You can see the driver's partition's a full partition, so he can't get through but can speak to people if he needs to with a sliding window. All this has been recreated. This was all smashed up in the 1967 crash, so we've had to reconstitute this from photographs and from the remaining parts. But all that partition has had to be new, as is most of the front end, which was severely damaged. In fact, this was the most serious problem with the vehicle, and had to be done first before the project was viable, which, as you see, it is. The radiator is actually covered by a cowling which we have inside, which is still there and has been repainted, but we're just working on the electrics to the headlamps and so on. So the remaining work to do now is externally to repaint the vehicle, which is almost in paintable condition with new panelling everywhere. We need to do further work on the electrics, running wires because the old electrical cables were perished in the 1930s, and also some mechanical work to check that the vehicle is still movable and drivable. All the brakes and so on have been overhauled and ready to be fitted. The vehicle last knowingly ran under its own power in 1955, but we believe since then it has been towed everywhere, including at London Transport. When it was due to come back north, it was checked over by them. So that's the main work really remaining, is the electrical work and mechanical work. The body is almost finished. Some of the seats are still the seats are being reupholstered. The seat backs are in very good condition, but the seat squabs aren't, and they are being redone at the moment, and so those seats are to refit. But that's a relatively straightforward matter, which shouldn't present any particular problem.